So it's summertime and it's warmer weather, and we want to stay hydrated and we want to stay nourished and we want to stay energized. And so how can we do that? What are some specifics that can keep us feeling really good during the summer months? Of course, please read over the disclaimer that this information is coming from yours truly. Um, let's start out with a little summertime self-care check-in. Like, how is it going for you? What are you doing in terms of self-care? I consider nutrition, how we nourish, as a part of self-care. So how do we take in nourishment? We take in nourishment by breathing. Are we breathing deeply? Now, many of you are probably in different stages of the cancer journey, whether it's newly diagnosed, in treatment, post-treatment. So of course, some of these things will change depending on where you're at. But cancer can be kind of a scary journey. And so how do we keep ourselves calm and grounded and hydrated and nourished? And because we nourish by taking in oxygen, we have to make sure that we're breathing correctly. We're deep breathing. And that's part of your daily sort of ritual, is welcoming the day. Some people do like a gratitude. I'm thankful for the blue sky today. I am thankful that we don't have a fire out my door today. I am thankful, and I'm doing some welcoming deep breaths for the day, or breathing before meals, or maybe doing it with my yoga or my stretching routine. Stretching, really good. Move the lymphatic fluids around. Moving, any type of moving, whether it's exercise, whether it's dancing, whether it's yoga, just going for a walk around the block, checking in with plants. That's how we nourish as well. And then staying hydrated. Drinking is very, very important when it's hotter weather and we are sweating more. And eating, that'll be the bulk of what we're going to talk about today. What are we eating? And food is information. Food talks to all of our cells and helps them do their work. This is really important when we're managing cancer treatment. Maybe those cells have taken a little bit of a hit and they're going to repair, and they need good nutrients in order to repair. So what should we be eating this time of the year? And then, are you socializing and having fun, especially during this COVID time, when we're coming out a little bit, but now we're getting mixed messages about it still being a problem. So maybe we're not interacting as much, but we're finding other ways, such as Zooming, like we're doing today, just making sure that we are actually having some fun and socialization as part of our self-care. So what are summertime foods? I put watermelon up there because I guess that's one of my favorite summertime foods. Just love watermelon. A lot of people say, oh, watermelon has so much sugar, you shouldn't eat watermelon. But actually, that's not true. It has so much fiber that the fiber balances out the sugar. You wouldn't want to eat massive amounts of watermelon, but actually enjoying 1 or 2 slices of watermelon, or I'll make a watermelon salad with balsamic vinaigrette and a little feta cheese and some nuts. And I just love watermelon. It's very hydrating. It's also very, very high in lycopene, which is a major anti-cancer player. It's good to tune into what's in season. And this, you might have some neighbors that have gardens, and right now you're getting to that point where people are trying to give you all the zucchini because we've got so much zucchini coming out of the gardens right now. And zucchini, hey, this is what I say, tune in and see what's coming out of the ground right now. Zucchini is nutritious. It's got high fiber. It's very hydrating, has water. It's not one of our superstars in terms of plant nutrients, but it's got a good amount of nutrients. It's abundant, very, very versatile. So I like to steam it in some broth. I like to saute it with some spices and olive oil. I've been grilling it. I've been grilling everything. So I cut the zucchini in half, and then I dip it or rub some olive oil on it. I put a lot of spices, and then I put it on the grill, a couple minutes on each side. You could even put it on a skewer. You can put zucchini in soups. You can have zucchini pasta. So I gave you a recipe. There'll be a bunch of recipes that will be coming your way. Veggie pasta is one of them, and it means taking the zucchini and using a peeler and just peeling off the zucchini to make zucchini noodles. You could also buy zucchini noodles or squash noodles, but it'll be more money than just sort of making your own zucchini noodles. And then I just heat them up in a little saute pan with some oil, and then put some sauce or pesto, spaghetti sauce or pesto. So we're like using the zucchini instead of like a pasta noodle, getting more nutrition. And I find it works really well. And then you can make zucchini patties. I've been making those. I gave you a recipe for zucchini patties. So what to do with all the zucchini? And then, of course, you can make bread or muffins. They'll add a nice amount of fiber. Adding vegetables to your bread or muffin can be really wonderful. So what's for lunch or dinner? So this is one of my friends just sent this to me and said, look what I got from the garden this morning. All right, so she harvested some eggplant. She harvested some summer squash, the yellow one. She harvested a green summer squash, a jalapeno, and some tomatoes. That's what she's got. So what could she do with this? This is the time of the year when we want to have more vegetables because they're just so abundant, and they tend to have more water, they're hydrating, and they tend to be more cleansing. So I like to make veggies my main course. And so I would grill these eggplants and zucchini, and then possibly make a salad with the tomatoes, and I'd add in a cucumber. And then I might make like a eggplant with some yogurt, have some yogurt as the center with some nuts and seeds, grilled eggplant, grilled zucchini, and then a large green salad. And I'd probably put some sunflower seeds or some sort of nut or seed on there as well, toasted pecans. And that could be a meal. That would be like a delicious lunch or dinner. So spring and summer are considered the cleansing months, late spring, early summer. It's warmer weather, so we eat lighter, and we may include more cleansing foods. By cleansing, it's more liquid, more vegetables, more fruit. And then diversifying your veggies, enjoying what's in season. And how do you know what's in season? A good tip is to go to your local farmer's market and see what they've got. And you can still be careful, wear your mask, and talk to the farmers and see what's going on. Like strawberries, there's such a huge difference between strawberries that you'll get at the farmer's market and strawberries that you'll buy at a supermarket. And the reason for that is they haven't traveled so far. So that tastes better. And also it's more nutrient dense, because the shorter the traveling, the less opportunity to lose nutrients. So I find that you get higher nutrient density and better taste at the farmer's market. It is more expensive, so I wouldn't expect to buy everything at the farmer's market, but there's certain things that are just so wonderful. The strawberries, fresh corn. So just kind of doing a look-see and maybe trying something that's a little different. Like the other day I went to an Asian market and got some Chinese broccoli. And my husband's sister hadn't had that before. She says, what is this delicious thing? I says, well, it's Chinese broccoli. Oh, it's just wonderful. Or maybe some mizuna, which is a Japanese green. Getting a little bit adventurous and branching out and trying something different. So the farmers market's a great place to kind of tune in to what's wonderful that's going out of the fields, and then what's something that you maybe haven't had before. Diverse amount of plant fibers, really important to feed the gut bacteria, really important to provide all the plant nutrients that talk to our cells. And same thing with fruit. Fruit does have more sugar, but if you're having fruit, it has fiber, so we're not as concerned about it. Berries are in season. I think we just closed a berry picking season. So it's more of a cleansing diet. However, down at the bottom, if someone listening to this talk is currently in cancer treatment, chemo, radiation, some of the immunotherapies, and you may not feel so well, you may be losing a little weight, or blood counts could be what could be lower. That's not a time for a cleansing diet. That's really a time for more building, where we do want to have protein with every meal. And so we do need to tune in to what our individual requirements and conditions are. In general, for people who are not currently in treatment, a cleansing diet, this is the time of year. So I always want to emphasize hydration, because this is a time of the year when you want to drink more water and liquids. And what happens is we get into the habit of drinking a certain amount at certain times. And then when the weather gets warm and we sweat more, we don't change that habit. You don't want to wait until you're thirsty, because when you're thirsty, it's already a stress response. And we know that dehydration hurts your brain. Even just a little bit of it can make you tired. Dehydration's number one cause for afternoon fatigue. And sometimes we grab coffee, and that's kind of makes us a little bit more dehydrated, right? So let's get into a habit of the warm summer months. Let's drink more. Now, how much should you drink? This is not really a set answer. It depends so much on your body size, your condition, your activity level. They say in general, 2 quarts or 2 liters a day, 8 glasses of water. In treatment, probably double that. But then eating veggies and fruit has water, they have water, and also having soups, those actually have water as well. So we say we want to drink more, but a ballpark is about 8 glasses, 2 quarts or 2 liters, possibly more. And you don't have to just have water. In fact, it isn't a good idea to just have water. You really want to have some minerals in your water. So you can have some lemon in your water, some herb tea. I like to just take, now I'm doing Moroccan mint tea bag and putting it in my water bottle and just drinking that. It gives a nice little flavor to it. It's a cold brew. It's not as strong mint as if it was hot water, but I just like to spice up my water a little bit. I gave you a recipe for a chia cleansing drink, which is another thing I've been enjoying. And a chia drink, chia seeds absorb their weight in water, so it's a great way to slowly hydrate. You have to add it to hot water so it mixes in and doesn't clump. And then I mix some apple cider vinegar and some lemon, and if you want, a little bit of ginger or a ginger tea bag. And I'm getting a little bit more of a cleanse, and that's been my favorite drink this week. It's important to give some focus on minerals, adding minerals to filtered water, such as squeeze of lemon. Some people will put a pinch of sea salt or a splash of pomegranate juice. That's going to add minerals. The minerals will help the water get in the cells. How do we get minerals? We enjoy a veggie-rich diet that provides potassium and magnesium and all of the minerals that the body needs, just as much as it needs the water, it needs the minerals. And you get your minerals from your fruit as well. So it's all about minerals. I'm putting this out there because this is the time of the year that I see people aren't well. A lot of the people I talk to aren't feeling very well. They're going through all stages of cancer treatment, diagnosis, and whirlwind of appointments. And they're hydrating, but sometimes they're not getting in enough minerals. And minerals are the cofactors for life. They are what breaks down protein and fat. Without minerals, we can't use the protein and fat. They are what regulate our heart contractions and our muscle contractions. Somebody's getting cramping in their legs. It's a sign that we don't have enough minerals. So I want to start getting more veggies, more veggie juices. And sometimes we'll actually add in like an electrolyte powder or trace mineral liquids and add it to a little bit of water just to remineralize, to get in our our potassium, our magnesium, other minerals that are really important, of course, calcium for bones. Zinc is very, very important for the immune system. It balances out copper. We know that copper cancer uses copper. So I commonly will ask people to test your zinc and copper levels. If your zinc is low, add in some more zinc. Because unfortunately, minerals, sometimes we don't get them all from foods. Sometimes we do need to supplement, especially when there's things going on. And zinc is one of those. So it's really important to balance hormones as well. So adding some fresh lemon, or adding a splash of juice, adding a pinch of the sea salt, or even using an electrolyte powder can really help to remineralize along with hydrate. So we want a mineral-rich diet, veggies, fruit, beans, nuts, seeds, but also fish and shellfish are going to give us iodine, which is really important. Eggs are going to give us iodine and other minerals, and meat gives us zinc, for example. So if you're vegan, not eating meat, then I think we really need to look at our zinc levels. So thirst quenching, these are some ideas. Get a fancy glass, brew some green tea, put a little bit of pomegranate juice. I like palm, the refrigerated one. And I've got a slice of lemon and I've got a spritzer. Very, very thirst quenching. And I'll just make a big picture of this, or I'll just drink it in my glass. So watermelon cucumber juice is kind of fun. It just means cut up some watermelon, cut up some cucumber, blend them together, put a little bit of lime. I like to put a pinch of salt in there and blend it all up and then refrigerate it. So thirst quenching. I like to include a little bit of the skin and the rind of both of them, assuming they're organic, because a lot of the goodies are concentrated in the skin in that area, just under the skin. So these are ideas just to kind of put it in your head, but you may have some other ideas. You may say, hey, I'm going to add some blueberries to this. So let your culinary genius come out and have fun with all these different hydrating options. So cucumbers, I love putting cucumbers in water. I'll put cucumbers and lemon in water. Lately, I've been getting lemon verbena from my garden and putting that in there too. But who knew that cucumbers are also a cancer-fighting food, right? Cucumbers, very hydrating, but they also are high in that cucurbitacin, and I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but that's one compound that's been studied in cucumbers. So this is the season for cucumbers. Lemon cucumbers are the bomb. You can get them in the farmer's market. So delicious. I munch on cucumbers as a snack. I usually like to put a little salt on them in addition to putting them in a salad, in addition to putting them in your water. So this is for those of you who are the athletes out there and you're running marathons or you're doing exercises appropriate for you, bike endurance things, and you want a alternative to Gatorade and its fluorescent colors and additives, this is a recipe for that if you want to make your own sports drink. Also, just adding electrolytes can be helpful. If you're expending a lot of energy in a sports event or sports program, then you have to replace water, you have to replace carbs, and you have to replace minerals. So I thought you may be interested in this. So here's this chia drink. It's a tablespoon of chia, a cup of hot water, or juice or tea. I like to use a tea. I use a green tea, or I'll use, lately I've been doing Moroccan mint tea. And then you mix it super well to break up clumps. And then you can put it in the refrigerator and let it sit for a while. You could add kiwi. That looks kind of cool. I had a client say that they thought that they were eating fish eggs when they had this. They were a little bit grossed out by the texture of it. But I mean, you have to like it. You can buy it already mixed in too. But chia seeds, very hydrating, high in omega-3 fats, high in cancer-fighting lignans. Such a deal from such a little seed. And I gave you a recipe of hydrating beverages, and this is included on there. So check it out. and make some modifications that works for you. Yeah, it brings up the discussion about water and how water can exist in a gel phase in addition to the usual liquid, solid, or gas. And so there's this Pollock guy who wrote a book about a new unifying approach to cell function. He talks about gels. And when the water is in kind of its gel formation and chia seeds help it get into that gel formation, we find that it creates this nice osmotic tension that the water can better get into cells and toxins can get out. It's a theoretical discussion, but I think it was kind of fun. So let's look at our habits, summertime eating
Nancy,
habits.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but I just had a question that was pretty relevant to what you were
All
just
right, let's go for it.
Can you suggest an electrolyte powder?
Yeah, one that I like is Replenisher. I think it's Ultima, Ultima, Replenisher. And that's one that a lot of people seem to like. So you could start with that one. There are others as well, but I'm glad you asked that. So look for ones that don't have like corn syrup or don't have artificial colorings and dyes and don't have additives. But that's one I like. There's actually quite a few that are out there. And sometimes it'll come in the form of like a multivitamin mineral. There was Oxylent. I don't know if they still make that, but it's actually a packet and it contains electrolytes, but sometimes it's mixed with a little bit of B vitamins. So you can shop around. Ultima Replenisher seems to be one that a lot of people like, but there are others. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you.
So summertime eating, it's all about habits, right? So I think when people they say, okay, I need to change. It's not working. I need to lose some weight, or I need to gain some weight, or I need to feel better. Let's look at what you're doing and let's say, hey, what's not working? What could be better? So what are you eating it? But not only that, when are you eating it? And then how are you eating it? It's about making choices. So when you're eating is another whole discussion, but we really know we want to eat earlier in the day and not so much later on. They call it circadian eating, or there's a new term called chrononutrition. It's eating with the sun. So if the farmers used to get up in the early morning and eat their lumberjack breakfast with eggs and pancakes and then go out and work really hard and then come back, have a big lunch, and then they'd have like a light dinner at sunset and then go to bed early. Well, we're not going to have a lumberjack breakfast because we're not out there doing lumberjack kind of stuff or plowing fields. So we have to be in tune with what kind of meal plan works for us. Some people do well with 3 square meals a day. Others do well with 2. Others do well with maybe 6 mini meals a day. So we have to figure out what works for you. In general, 3 meals a day, but try to get the eating done by 7 p.m. and then no calories between dinner, 7 p.m., and at least 12 hours, 7 a.m., possibly like 8, 9 a.m., no calories. And that's when can really help the body. It's a cellular detox time. Of course, if you have like a tendency for low blood sugar, that wouldn't work for you. So everybody needs to cater to what works for them. But paying attention to what you're eating and when you're eating as well, so we can optimize that, and avoiding our evening snacking or late night dinners, trying to have our larger meal earlier in the day. And then how much to eat. Of course, portion sizes is usually what gets most of us. And if you go to a restaurant, the serving sizes are double what they need to be. So if somebody's trying to lose weight, I say you might want to try eating half of what you eat. Slowly work to that, telling yourself that, hey, if I'm hungry, I can get up and get some more. And if I eat slowly, I'll actually get filled up. Because a lot of us, we're eating because it tastes good. Maybe we're bored, we're lonely, and we overeat. And our stomach feels like, oh, I think I overate. I tell people, think of 80-20. Eat till you're 80% full, 20% left, right? And then give your brain a chance to catch up to your stomach. There's a lovely book called How to Eat by Thich Khan. And he just has people imagining that when you're drinking tea, you're drinking a cloud, or when you're eating so slowly so that you're really appreciating and grateful for every bite. And then, of course, making choices. You can have the pizza and the processed, uncolorful food, or you can have the greens and the colorful veggies. So, yeah, useful to look at your habits and what's not working for you and where could you make changes. So one thing you could do is eat a rainbow. And this is the time of year when there's a rainbow coming out of the gardens. The earth is giving us rainbows right now. So I like to make a nourished bowl. It's kind of like a salad, but instead of everything being mixed up, I got everything separated out. I put some colorful red cabbage because I needed a purple. I put a little bit of starch, some rice in the middle. I put some butternut squash. Now it helps to have a lot of these things ready to go. I've got cabbage. I sometimes chop it up and keep it in a bowl. I've cooked chicken for dinner, so I've got it ready to go. I rinsed some garbanzo beans. I've got those ready to go. So I have all these things in my refrigerator that are kind of ready to go so I can assemble a meal. And some cooked veggies, some slices of avocados. So when you're making dinner at night, cook some extra or cut up extra, put it in a bowl for next day lunch, and making sure you're eating a rainbow of different colors because that maximizes all those plant nutrients that are the real cell signalers, the ones that really help us prevent cancer. And this just gives a little bit of a guide. Well, what do I get when I'm eating orange, lycopene, carotenoids, or red? What do I get when I'm having yellows, beta carotene and flavonoids? What about when I'm eating the lighter, bright yellows, vitamin C, lutein, and the greens, especially crucifers, give us indoles, sulforaphane. Leafy greens give us folic acid, keep our cells healthy. And then the blues and the purples, those give us anthocyanins and that polyphenols. And so we get so many wonderful plant nutrients from all the different colors. So we really want to maximize that. Especially green. I like to think of green power, right? What is it about green? So green is very oxygenating, right? It's got chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is similar to our own blood. Chlorophyll is plant blood, and it's got magnesium in the center. People blood has iron in the center. If you look at the structure of chlorophyll to hemoglobin and red blood cells in people, they're remarkably similar. So in essence, when we're taking in our green foods, that plant blood is helping to enrich our own blood. It's also extremely oxygenating, and that's really what we want as well. Alkalizing. Cancer contributes to an acid environment, and an acid environment can help cancer grow. So we want to alkalize. We check our urine pH, sometimes check our blood LDH. If the urine pH is acid, the LDH is high, we need to focus more on becoming more alkaline. Your greens, your green juices, your green powders, those are going to nicely alkalize you. So a good way to know you're alkaline, test your urine pH. First in the morning, it'll be a little acidic. Then after breakfast, it should be close to 7. Also high in folate, which supports our brain and our mood, vitamin C for immune strength. And then check out all the different greens, like some sunflower sprouts. This is why I went to the farmer's market. I had no intention of buying sunflower sprouts, but I saw them and they just jumped out and went, take me, take me. Went, yeah. So I took some sunflower sprouts and those are in the salad. They're just so beautiful, cute little plants. Eat your greens, eat more greens, right? It's a beautiful color. In a salad, add some arugula as a side. I'll have, if I'm having something that doesn't have vegetables in it, I'll pick up 2 handfuls of spring salad greens. That's my greens. So if I'm having eggs and mushrooms in the morning with a piece of toast, handful of greens. If I don't have any leftover vegetables to have, I always have raw fresh greens, and I just put a handful on there. Sauteed. I like to buy a big bag of power greens, spinach, collards, chard, maybe baby kale. I always buy them organic, and then I'll put them in a pan with some broth or oil. They all shrink down, cook a big bunch of it, got it in the refrigerator. I can take it out for egg, with egg in the morning. I can have it as a side with lunch or dinner. Greens can be in soup. I picked a whole bunch of kale from the garden, chopped it all up, added that to a soup. Stir fries, omelets, make pesto. This is the time of the year for pesto. I make pesto without cheese, and I sometimes use walnuts or whatever nut I have because pine nuts are so expensive. The other thing is put greens in smoothies. If you're making a green smoothie, making any kind of smoothie, if you put like 2, 3, 4 handfuls of greens, you won't even know they're in there. So it's another great way to get the greens. And then just snacking on them as well. Snack on celery, especially if you're trying to not munch out on higher calorie foods. You try filling up on high fiber foods like celery, maybe with a little bit of hummus. It's one of my favorite snacks. And you can drink your greens. You can make a fresh veggie juice, which is different than a blend. A blend, we're going to have more of the fiber. A juice is going to be a little bit more cleansing. So you can make your own juice, or you could buy a fresh veggie juice. Suja juice is a juice I like, SUJA, and I'll have like a cup and a half of that every day with lemons. It's very, in the morning, it's nicely alkalizing, and because it's providing minerals. A simple green smoothie is add some greens like spinach, other leafy greens, some parsley or cilantro, maybe put in some apples or berries to make it taste good. Always have a little bit of fat in your green smoothie because you need the fat to absorb your fat-soluble vitamins, which there's so many fat-soluble vitamins in your greens. You could add a little avocado or some almond butter or some Brazil nuts. And you could also do lemon or celery or fennel or whatever you have. You could put in some probiotic foods like yogurt or kefir and just blend it up and just enjoy it. That would be a nice snack, or possibly a meal with something to chew on the side. What's in season? Water peaches, donut peaches, nectarines, apricots. So this is what is abundant now. And this is what we want to be enjoying. So clue into what's going on. Farmers market, even the grocery store, strawberries, what's going on, what's in season. Let's get creative on getting these foods into our diet. So fruit and vegetable intake, lots and lots and lots of data. The more fruits and vegetables that people eat, we found that it decreases mortality from all causes, cardiovascular disease and cancer. So people who have the highest intake of these foods, veggies and plants and fruit, actually have a lower mortality from all causes for various reasons. We know that we get so many healing nutrients from them, but we also know that if we're taking veggies and fruit, maybe we're not opting for a lot of the junk food. The other thing that's really important is that these guys provide plant fibers that feed the gut bacteria, and the gut bacteria not only support digestion and elimination, the gut bacteria regulates your immune system. It also biotransforms food compounds into usable compounds. So a lot of the cool nutrients we get from food, we can't utilize efficiently. We need the gut bacteria to act on them, to biotransform them into usable nutrients. So connecting the dots, eating a lot of plant fibers, such as vegetables and fruit, but also nuts, seeds, whole grains, beans, those feed the gut bacteria. And the gut bacteria is what helps to keep us healthy as well. So there's many different angles by which the fruit and vegetable actually decreases overall mortality. So other thing about these guys, every time you're having these colorful nutrients and plant foods, there's just a cornucopia of nutrients that you get from them. And I like to think of them as cell regulators and cell protectors. So for example, we know that broccoli, very, very high in isothiocyanates, the type of glucosinolate. And we know that this can actually help to reprogram these P53, for example, which is a mutation on tumor cells that makes them more aggressive. And we know that certain food compounds can actually act to switch on or switch off these tumor mutations to our benefit. So this is really cool. There's a lot of cool research that's going on, discovering all the different ways that individual food nutrients can turn on or turn off cellular processes and mutations. So your job, my job, everybody's job is to just enjoy a plant-focused diet. Doesn't mean that it has to be vegan or plant-based. You can have some animal foods, but mostly plant foods, and a diverse amount of plant foods so that you can take advantage of the cell protection and cell regulation that these wonderful compounds provide to us. Okay, so make a summer salad. It's salad time, right? Get a bowl. I like a wide mouth bowl because it just looks beautiful. Add some greens, any kind of greens, but add in some crucifers, some arugula and some cabbage, because those are like extra potent cell protectors. Add some colorful veggies, tomatoes, cucumbers, bell peppers, red onions, carrots, and then get fun with it. Have something new, some fennel or artichoke hearts. I get a can of artichoke hearts. I always have those. It adds some fiber and substance. Parsley, add cooked sunchokes, add purple potatoes, add sliced beets, add sprouts, add some beans. Adding beans to salad adds so much more nutrition, so much more color, adds protein, adds fiber, adds wonderful minerals. So how can you take a salad and just make it really great? Add a dressing, make your own dressing, olive oil and a vinegar, you're done. Or you could make something that's a little bit more elaborate. If you are going to use ready-made, try to get one with the least amount of additives. And then top it off. Remember, we're trying to make it look beautiful as well. Add some toasted sunflower or pumpkin seeds. You can toast them yourself, or I'll go to Trader Joe's sometimes and buy like roasted sunflower seeds, or I'll buy raw pecans and I put them in the oven for a minute or two. It makes them buttery. If you top it off with crucifer sprouts, broccoli, arugula, kale, radish, those guys are even more concentrated than the plant. So in other words, you could have cooked broccoli sprouts, you could have cooked broccoli spears, and you can have broccoli sprouts. And we're finding that per weight, the broccoli sprouts have up to 10 times, maybe even more, concentrated amount of these glucosinolates, right? You buy them at the farmer's market. The bummer about them is they're kind of pricey and they don't last very long. They're only going to last a couple of days. If you're ambitious, you can sprout yourself. So if you notice in the salad down here, I put figs. Whoops. There's like cut up figs. So figs are in season. And so I put some figs in the salad, and that goes really good, especially with a little bit of feta cheese. So get creative in what you're adding to your salads. So here's some creative salad items. Arugula, baby kale cabbage. Okay, got my crucifers. sliced radishes. So I put some sliced watermelon radishes, bright pink, looks so beautiful. It's a little bit pungent, but I put a little bit of honey in my dressing to compensate. Some sprouts, some bell pepper, a carrot. Remember, I'm going for color. Sliced beets. Add beets to salad. Add beets to the side as a condiment with another meal. Artichoke hearts. Put berries. You could put berries. There's no rule that you can't put fruit in a salad. Beans. I'll have a can of black beans. I rinse them out really quick. And then I add them to a salad. Or if I had it together, I cook some beans. If I cook some quinoa, if I cook a cup of quinoa, I've got it for a couple of days. I'll add quinoa to a salad. Sliced avocado, olives, roasted pecans or nuts, hard-boiled eggs, salmon or chicken. These are all things to kind of put into your creative salad. So it's not just ho-hum, lettuce, tomato, cucumber. Let's just jazz up our salads and get a cool bowl, a wide mouth bowl, makes it look more inviting. You can make your own dressing, oil and vinegar, or in a pinch, cut a lemon and just squeeze the lemon, maybe a little olive oil. But I like to make extra virgin olive oil, but add that at the end. So you have apple cider vinegar, and then you could put miso paste, Dijon mustard, little honey if you want. Wasabi is a crucifer veggie. You can get a tube of wasabi and it adds a little kick. You can get it at Whole Foods, delicious. And black cumin seed oil, another kind of weirdo food that research shows is very high in thymicquinone, which is a major cancer player. You can get it online because you want it organic. I like to put black cumin seed on my skin. If you have any sort of weird skin thing going on, black cumin seed oil. Apparently Cleopatra used to put it in her hair. It's very big in the Middle East. And then some spices. You mix everything together except the olive oil. And then add in the olive oil at the end, 1 teaspoon at a time, whisking it. That's so it will go into solution. So this is a creamy garlic dressing. One of my favorite cookbooks, people always ask me, what's your favorite cookbook? Any book by Mark Hyman, right? Any book by, he's a medical doctor who's a functional medical doctor. Maybe you've heard of him. Go on his website. So this morning I was going through recipes with a client on the phone on the blood sugar solution cookbook. He's got the blood sugar solution book and the blood sugar solution cookbook. Really important to balance blood sugar. We know that diabetes is a risk factor for cancer. We know that cancer gobbles up glucose and it likes high insulin because that makes that process easier for cancer cells. So we want to eat for controlled glucose, controlled insulin. And so Mark Hyman's blood sugar solution cookbook, pretty good one. It's got really yummy and very doable recipes. So I got this recipe from him and I made it and loved it. Macadamia nuts. And people say, oh gosh, it's got fat. Yes, it does. You're not taking that much of it, but fat helps balance blood sugar and fat makes you feel full, and you need fat for fat soluble vitamins and also for bones. A little bit of healthy fat is actually very health promoting. Fat-free, low-fat diets, people always binge on carbs and that just doesn't work. So here's a nice recipe you might want to follow. And again, you're going to get printouts of these slides and modifying it. Just remember the olive oil, add the olive oil in at the end, 1 teaspoon at a time. Takes a little bit of time, but if you don't do that, you're just going to get a layer of olive oil. It won't mix in nicely. So it's a labor of love. Add in your high quality olive oil. Olive oil is a cancer fighter, loaded in polyphenols. I like unfiltered California brand or Bariani's brand. And you can make this ahead. I like to keep my salad dressings on the counter. They'll keep for up to a week away from direct sun. Yeah, so here's directions for that. So if you're interested in yummy recipes, check out Mark Hyman's book, The Blood Sugar solution cookbook or any other cookbook. He's just got wonderful recipes. So this is just a perfect example of a salad for this time of the year when we have tomatoes kind of just starting. Tomatoes, nothing like a fresh tomato. It's another thing you want to get at the farmer's market. They're not quite ready. They're not here yet, at least at my farmer's markets, but they will be. They're coming out of people's gardens though. Cucumber, which are coming out of the gardens. Red onion looks really cool. And then that's it. And put a little bit of olive oil and you're done. And if you want to put a little bit of vinaigrette, you could. Put some fresh mint or basil, you could. And you could put a little feta cheese. Simple salad, but it's so good for this time of the year, especially later when the tomatoes are really coming in. Here's a fun little salad. It's Rosy beet and quinoa salad. I gave you a printout of this as well. Got it from Cooking Light. I made it. I loved the color. I served it to some friends for dinner and they went, wow, this is so cool. It has radicchio. Radicchio is a little bit more expensive. So if you don't want to get the radicchio, you could get lettuce, but it mixes radicchio or lettuce with beets, some pine nuts, which are expensive, but you also could do roasted sunflower seeds. And then they fresh dill, or if you don't have fresh dill, just salt, pepper, and any other seasoning. And you could put a little feta if you wanted to. I sometimes put walnuts as well. So what was fun is the interaction between the radicchio and the red beets, and that's why Cooking Light causes Rosy beet and quinoa. You mix it in with quinoa and play with it. You know, these are just kind of ideas to kind of inspire you to do your own, to come up with your own culinary creations. Watercress is another funky veggie. It's a crucifer veggie. Remember the brassica family of veggies, extra cancer fighting, extra cell protecting. Watercress, you sell it live. That's the thing now. You get live lettuce or live watercress and you just keep it in a jar on the counter, take off your watercress. Mix it in with a regular salad or follow this recipe, which gets mixed with beets. You could put in red apples. It's kind of a funky little salad, but again, it's to give you ideas for how you want to come up with your cool salads. Arugula salmon and avocado salad. This is one of my favorite. Amy Myers is a medical doctor who specializes in autoimmune, which is very, very common. And she has a program, the autoimmune diet, that a lot of people follow and find very helpful. And this is a recipe from her. Again, a bed of arugula or other greens and or some avocado, red onion, and then some salmon. Cook salmon for dinner, save some for lunch the next day, and then put a little olive oil. Might be nice. And you can try a different kind of vinaigrette, like maybe a strawberry infused vinaigrette. And here are some more salad recipes. There were just too many salads to choose from. So you guys can, when you get your emailed version of these slides, you can click on these recipes and don't get overwhelmed, get inspired. Try one new recipe a week and then keep making that one and working on it. A great way to get in nice in-season veggies and fruit and goodies. And then you can sell it in a jar if you're actually going out to a workplace. And the key for this is the order you add them does matter. So this diagram says you put the dressing on the bottom, some oil and vinegar or other, put your hard veggies, your cucumbers, broccoli, put your soft veggies, your lettuces. If you're going to have some cheese or meat, you would put that next, and then your quinoa or other grain, and your sunflower seeds or your toppings, and then your salad greens would go on the very top. And so this is some 8 salad in a jar recipes that you can check out. And then have fun with presentation. I went to a potluck outside picnic thing, and somebody brought this big platter. So again, instead of mixing everything together, you can just create this beautiful kind of artist's palette. And then people get, the problem is you don't want to disturb the pattern. You know, it's like, how beautiful is this? You put it on the table and then Somebody's got to, you got to eventually mess it up, but it's just having fun. And presentation, when you look at it, this is how you start. You see it, you smell it, you hear it, talk about it, and it's like, I'm getting hungry. A liquid salad, okay, especially when the tomatoes are around. All this is blend it. Take a bunch of fresh veggies and blend them up with a little bit of vegetable juice, like a V8 juice or low salt tomato juice and some balsamic. I gave you a recipe for gazpacho, which is basically a blended veggie. I like to have it as like a snack before a meal, or when we used to have parties, like for my daughter's engagement party, we had little shooters of gazpacho, cold, just like a cold soup. And people were drinking alcohol. And so I thought it was really nice to kind of go around and have them have this like mineralizing, hydrating liquid shot, if you will. So give it a go. And then what about grilling? So summertime is the time for grilling. People say, I can't grill, it's really dangerous. And gosh, I'm making heterocyclic amines and really toxic stuff. And so what do we think about that? I think it's okay to grill. I think it's okay to grill, chicken. There's nothing like barbecue chicken in the summer. It's delicious. We don't want to grill every single night, and we don't want to blacken stuff, right? So what are some things we can do for safe grilling? Grill mostly vegetables, grill mushrooms. I gave you a recipe for grilled portobellos, or maybe not. Yeah, I did, portobello burgers. Clean the grill before cooking, right? You don't want to oldies. Avoid direct exposure of the meat to open flame. You don't want that black or that heavy charring or blackening. And you don't want to overcook. A lot of times you can partially cook it before grilling, so you get that caramelization from the grilling, but most of the cooking was done beforehand. Flip the meat frequently. Cook lean meats, remove skin and fat before grilling. And then marinating before grilling includes spices and herbs. We find that rosemary, garlic, all these different spices that are very high in oxidants, they actually protect the meat from getting the formation of a lot of these kind of nasty compounds. And then you do have to realize that all cooking is going to result in the production of some free radicals. And this is why it's so important that, cooking meat is going to give you more of these free radicals, is that the meats and the animal foods are a small part of your diet, and the bulk of your diet are veggies, so that any of the free radicals that are created, that toxic compounds that are created, those antioxidants and compounds that are in your veggies and in your other plant foods, those help buffer it out. So it's a matter of how much. So if I'm like barbecuing every single day, and that's just a lot, and I'm not doing a lot of veggies, I may have a concern. So try grilling veggies, mushrooms. You can even grill peaches. Grilled peaches are just delicious, right? So you get into the grilling, the fun of outdoor cooking, but most of the grilling is veggies, and then follow the guidelines for cooking the animal foods. Grilled veggies, lots of recipes there. Grilled portobellos, grilled eggplant is delicious. So grilled chicken, like barbecued chicken, it's one of our comfort foods. Grilled shrimp, skewers, lamb, have lots and lots and lots of veggies. And then marinating it, if you want to, an example would be olive oil, lemon juice, balsamic, or soy or miso, garlic, ginger, but adding in the spices. In other words, taking the piece of chicken and making sure it has a little bit of olive oil with a lot of spices can be really helpful to help mitigate some of the free radicals and harmful stuff. And spices in and of themselves have potent cancer-fighting properties. Plus they look good and they make everything taste so wonderful. Yeah. So what are some tasty sides? Remember, it's veggie intensive and a little bit of your barbecued meat or your barbecued veggies, a veggie salad, a potato salad, coleslaw, like a chopped cabbage salad would be wonderful, or just a green salad, add chopped red and green cabbage to it. Sauerkraut and kimchi are going to support digestion and the immune system because they're probiotics. They're also alkalizing, very nice alkalizing food. A bean salad's a great thing to bring to a potluck. I make bean salad as a meal. So I make a bean salad, 3 different kinds of beans, red bell peppers, cilantro, parsley, maybe some frozen corn, and I make a nice dressing, and then I have like sliced avocado on the side. Maybe I'll put some olives and nuts in the salad to make it more substantial. Cooked beans, great. I grew up in Boston with Boston baked beans. We always had them. Asian cucumber salad, get creative in your salads. Grilled veggies. And then another thing I can grill, we grilled yesterday was grilled sweet potatoes. Those were the bomb and they were organic. We just ate the whole thing with the skin, washed it really good and put purple sweet potatoes on the barbecue. And we had those as a side with some barbecued chicken and a big quinoa bean salad. It was delicious. Dessert ideas, grilled peaches, berries and cashew cream. So instead of ice cream, maybe ice cream is fine for you. A little bit of ice cream is fine. You know, it does have sugar. If you wanted an alternative to ice cream, you could try cashew cream. And I gave you a recipe for berries and cashew cream. A berry chia pudding looks really cool. You can make it in a wine glass. And I gave you a recipe for that. A fruit salad is a great thing this time of the year with strawberries. And then there's a recipe for rhubarb crumble bars because rhubarb is also in season, kind of a funky veggie that has quite a bit of fiber, and the red color tells you it's got these powerful plant nutrient antioxidants. I modify recipes to make the ingredients better. So if it calls for cornstarch, I use kudzu, which is called, I think, Japanese cornstarch. Very good for hot flashes. It's traditionally used for hangovers. It's a thickening. I'll omit or reduce brown sugar, or I'll sub with maple syrup. So these are just kind of ideas for you. So I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to questions. These are some references and resources for you. Whoops, there's a typo. Bare Bones Birth Cookbook should be Bare Bones Broth Cookbook. So anyway, these are just some ideas for you, but let's go with some questions now.
Oh, right. Well, thank you, Nancy, so much for the
Sure.
presentation. And thank you to everyone that joined us and submitted their questions. I'm going to go ahead and start, but if I do ask your question and you would like to elaborate or clarify that question, feel free to unmute yourself and jump right in. Okay, so the first question I have for you, Nancy, is do you happen to know if the vegetable pasta in the market consists of real vegetables?
The what product?
The vegetable pasta in the market, does it consist of real vegetables?
Yeah. So I think if you're talking about, if you get like at Whole Foods and they have like squash and it's in strains, or zucchini, it's in strains, yes, they actually grate real vegetables for that. So what I was saying is that you're going to pay about anywhere from $8 to $12 for that little package, where you could buy some zucchini or summer squash and with a grater just make it yourself. You know, and you can look at some YouTubes on how to do that. It's just much more economical, probably going to be more nutrients. Yeah, it actually is made from the actual vegetable. Good question.
Wonderful, thank you. And now for the next question I have is, how do you wash your veggies, fruit, and such?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's mostly friction. So it's just, the spray of the water on the veggies is actually going to remove any extraneous bacteria and other microorganisms that would have come on. If you want to go one step further, you could use some vinegar. You could use some apple cider vinegar or distilled vinegar and make, like, I think the ratio is like a tablespoon per cup of water. And what you can do is just put it in a basin and kind of soak your veggies there and then rinse them off with water. And so the concern that, and I'm glad you brought that up, because if a doctor says, oh, don't eat raw veggies, sometimes they'll say, well, you can have raw veggies that you yourself have bought and you yourself has washed, but don't have it, say, at a restaurant or at a potluck or somewhere where you don't know. Because what we're really concerned about is the contamination. Another person sneezed on their hands and touched the veggie and that. We know that COVID's not really transmitted that way, but other stuff is. And so I would say mostly just washing them, soaking them, just putting them in a basin of water and then straining it and then rinsing them off with your nozzle is good enough because of the friction's doing a lot. Secondly, if you want to use some vinegar, then that's the other thing that I would do.
My question is the same as that, only specific to, does soaking them in vinegar or baking soda get the pesticides out of, say, something like berries?
Right, the baking soda is supposedly for the pesticides. The apple cider vinegar will also kill off any of the exogenous bugs.
When you say supposedly, does that mean you don't know if it works?
Yeah, I read a study. I actually read a study that showed that they got rid of like 95%. They put some E. coli culture on some lettuce as an experiment. And then they said, okay, let's try washing it with water and let's try washing it with vinegar, right? They used distilled vinegar. And what they found is that there wasn't that much difference between washing it with water vigorously and actually adding the vinegar, but the vinegar had got rid of a little bit more. And that's what so a lot of what's going on is the sheer friction. So say you're chopping up spinach, or I'm chopping up kale and I'm going to put that in a soup. So I chop everything up first and then I put it in a bowl and I soak it with water, and you can actually pick up the vegetables and you should see like dirt at the bottom of the bowl. And then you rinse that out. And then I'll take them and put them in a strainer. And then with my nozzle, I actually spray them. So what I'm doing is mostly getting rid of the dirt, which ironically, soil, the bugs that are in the dirt isn't as bad. That what I'm really concerned about is contamination from a person touching it or sneezing into it or something like that. So washing it is good. And then adding that vinegar is actually a little bit better. And that's my knowledge.
And is there a study about the pesticides being removed?
I did read a study about pesticides, and that was with baking soda.
Okay.
And that was baking soda. So if you do a PubMed or a Google Scholar search and put in baking soda removing pesticides, and I don't remember how effective it was, but that was kind of like the real goal was, if it's really like strawberries, non-organic strawberries have so many pesticides that rinsing them in baking soda, it's not significantly going to remove those pesticides. I think it depends on the particular vegetable or fruit, and it also depends on the particular pesticide. But pesticides are tricky because they put them in the soil, when they fumigate. So it's best to go organic if you can. So ewg.org will list and prioritize what you should get organic. The dirty dozen. Spinach and strawberries are always number 1 and 2. So the dirty dozen, that will give you a guide. Because, we can't be crazy and nervous Nellies about everything, but then pesticides are a drag. They're a drag on the liver. There's a lot of issues with pesticides right now. There's a lot of issues with organic that the starters that a lot of plants start out with aren't organic. So unfortunately, there's a lot of issues with that. And I always tell people, do the best that you can. And they always say that even if you can't get everything organic, it's still good to eat veggies and fruit rather than not eat veggies and fruit, because we do get benefits from it. But I don't feel confident that the baking soda is going to remove the pesticides that effectively.
Thank you. I didn't either, but it helps to hear you say it.
Yeah, I know.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Tony, for the question, and Nancy for providing those answers. All right. So the next question I have here is, if all cooking results in production of free radicals, should most of our fruits and vegetables be raw?
Yeah, good. Boy, I just walked into that one, didn't I? Yeah, good question and good connecting the dots. No, I don't think most of your food should be raw, and it's so individual. This is the time of the year when you can do more raw and you can do more uncooked. But I think you should have, my opinion is you should have a combination of cooked and raw, depending on you. If you're kind of sick, you're not feeling so well and you're in chemo, mostly it's going to be raw because, mostly it's going to be cooked. Cooked is easier to digest. Raw, you're going to get more fiber. So we like to have a balance, some cooked foods, some uncooked foods. So what I really meant to say is, like, if you're cooking foods, especially meats, you're always creating a level of oxidation. You're always creating a certain amount of oxidative byproducts. It's sort of like we weigh the pros and the cons. Like meat, raw meat, it's really hard to digest. When we cook it, it breaks it down and we can digest it. And this is why supposedly we're walking around on twos instead of fours, was once we started cooking meat, we started developing our brains. So I just mean that cooking is an oxidant free radical production process, but it's buffered by all the antioxidants that you bring into the diet, right? So I say, you should have a balance of some raw, some cooked that works according to your condition and your constitution. I hope that helps dig me out of it.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And now the next question, can you grind chia seeds?
Yeah, you can. And you don't have to grind chia seeds. You have to grind flax seeds. If you don't grind flax seeds, you don't get much. They just kind of go through. Raw chia seeds, you get a lot of benefit from them without grinding them. They swell up and you can digest them. The benefits to grinding chia seeds is you get a better texture in the product. So that chia pudding that I shared, when my colleague chefs make that, they grind up the chia seeds and they get a smoother texture. I'm lazy. It's like one more step. It's like, hey, I kind of like this little extra texture here. But if you want a much smoother texture, you can grind the chia seeds and you're not, you won't be diminishing the nutrients. You may be diminishing the hydration part of it. Like, for example, if for the pudding, it's fine for the food, but if you want a hydrating chia drink, don't grind it up because, visualize the chia seeds coming in and then they swell up. Well, if they're already broken down, you're not going to get as much swelling up, right? So chia drinks, I wouldn't grind. A chia pudding, you want to be fancy dancy and smoother, go ahead and grind.
Perfect. And now the next question that I feel like was already answered, but I'm just going to go ahead and ask. Do chia seeds have to be hydrated to be of any use? And for example, if you were to put them in a salad, is that maybe doing it too much?
No, they don't have to be, because when they come into your body, they'll take up the water. But in a salad, they don't go that good in a salad. They just kind of like go to the bottom. You can try it. Who am I to say? The chia seeds. I would put pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds or some other bigger little seed that holds its own in the salad. The little tiny chia seeds, they're just going to get like, people are going to say, what's that in there? They're like poppy seeds, but they'll hydrate in your body. Hydration's not the issue. It's just, it may not taste so good, but go ahead and try it. Maybe you know something I don't.
Thank you, Nancy. And now for the next question, are there any olive oils that you can recommend?
Oh yeah, olive oils. Boy, I really love olive oils. You really want to look for extra virgin olive oil, and you want it to be in a glass dark bottle, and you want it to be unfiltered. And a lot of the really good ones are not going to necessarily say unfiltered. The one that does say unfiltered is Bariani, Bariani. It's a California. We're in California. We have wonderful olives and olive oils. California brand is pretty good as well. It should look beautiful. It should have that slight greenish hinge. And always go with good olive oil. This is, you never ever want to skimp. It's very high in polyphenols. And those polyphenols, especially squalane, if you look up anti-cancer properties of olive oil, you'll be blown away. 2 tablespoons a day, unbelievable. So you need really good olive oil. And so unfiltered is really good. And Bariani, for example, will say that on there because it will actually have more of those cool polyphenols and cancer-fighting goodies. There are other brands. There are actually lots of brands. I don't know them all, but my 2 favorite, I guess, are Bariani and California brand. But in Costco, you know, the olive oil can be the same olive oil, but what's going to go to Costco can be packaged differently. They'll put it in like a plastic container. I just don't like plastic containers. I want a glass container. So I won't buy olive oil in a plastic container. So I have seen California olive oil in a plastic container, a clear plastic container. And my husband bought it. And I went, I'm not having that. You know, just bring that back. I want the glass and I want the dark green or the dark brown bottle, you know. So there are things like that that happen. So a glass bottle, dark color, and unfiltered. And yeah, should be wonderful.
Perfect. Thank you, Nancy. And now for the next question. Are all or most of the nut butters okay to eat?
Oh yeah, sure. Nut butters are great. You can make your own nut butter, you know, if you have like a Vitamix. My sister-in-law does this and it comes out really good. I haven't made it yet, but really, really good if you have access to the nuts. Nut butters, I think, are really good. Of course, try to get it organic because otherwise they are sprayed. I like to get, like, Whole Foods has that grinded almond butter, or you can get nut butters. They can be quite expensive. Macadamia nut butter, almond nut butter, walnut nut butter, peanut butter. Peanuts, you just want a lot of peanuts because they can have an aflatoxin. It's one of those. So yeah, nut butters are really good, but remember there's a fat, and fat's really good, but a little bit goes a long way because of the calories. So what's a good serving size is probably like about 2 tablespoons. So for example, a go-to food might be a piece of toast with almond butter, or even sliced apple with almond butter on it and a little bit of lemon. Doesn't that sound good? That'd be like a nice little snack, right? Yeah. Nut butters are the bomb.
Thank you for that support for nut butter. And now for the next question. What food is good for people who have shingles?
Oh, oh, shingles. Well, immune support. Yeah, shingles are a drag. So that's like a big discussion. Boosting the immune system. A lot of times we get shingles when we're older because our immune system, you know, our antiviral immune system is just not so great. So just having a lot of different colors, vitamin C rich foods. And this would be the case where I might want to escalate to a vitamin C powder that is food-based, and it'll have vitamin C from foods like acerola, and it will have bioflavonoids. And just looking for a food-based, high-potency vitamin C powder, and there's several brands out there. I can't remember the name of them. That would be one of the best foods that you can do. Zinc-rich foods. So zinc is really important for the immune system. And as we get older, we're depleted in it. It's very important for cancer. So zinc-rich foods are pumpkin seeds, nuts and seeds, but actually animal foods are very high in zinc. And so zinc is one of those that you're probably good taking a supplement. I like a food-based zinc, really, really important. And once you get the shingles, it's like it's got a mind of its own. It just needs to work its way out. You just don't want to get it again. So then we have to we move into a larger discussion on immune support, and knowing that probiotic foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and plant foods to feed them helps to strengthen the digestive system. And we know that that's where the immune system resides as well. So I would say your BioK is really important as well. It's a probiotic food, or high potency yogurts. Even if you're doing dairy-free, they can be dairy-free yogurts, and kefir can actually help boost the immune system, because the immune system is in the gut. A lot of people don't make that connection between the GI and the immune system, but most of the immune system's in the GI, because that's where most foreign material comes in. And then there's other things, but that's kind of a larger conversation. But you got to weather it out, stay hydrated, stay well nourished. And then, yeah, there's topicals that you can do for the sores. Like I like silver psyllin spray. And once you're through with it, sometimes it takes a while, then we really need to boost the immune system, because we have to ask ourselves, why did we get this shingles outbreak? Why was our immune system not able to fight off this virus? Because the virus lives with us. Herpes virus, Epstein-Barr virus, they stay in. They're just like these freeloaders. And when something happens, to activate them. So the goal is going to be to prevent this shingles virus, this herpes zoster, varicella zoster virus, from getting reactivated. So it's kind of a long-winded answer.
No, that's a great answer. And I'm thinking that it's a great topic maybe for a potential upcoming presentation.
Yeah, well, immune support. I think, didn't we already do a talk on immune support? And immune support. So it isn't just COVID. You know, who gets COVID is people who have some comorbidities, you know, and so, yeah. But stay hydrated, lots of vitamin C rich foods. Do we have more questions?
We do have one more question, and it is, what is your take on the keto diet to fight cancer?
Oh boy, you guys hit me with these biggies. Huh? Keto diet that's a big discussion. Let me just say there is some data showing that it does have some efficacy. It does work for some, especially in brain cancers. My biggest thing is no two cancers are alike, no two people are alike, and that it's difficult to recommend the same diet for everybody. We really need to evaluate it on an individual basis. And the other thing that you have to remember is cancer is incredibly, what we say, metabolically flexible, right? And so there's just too many cases of cancer just getting its nutrition anyway. And so you're going to go through the challenge of the keto diet, which most people can't do, right? And we find out that maybe it wasn't the right thing for you, and it wasn't the right thing for your cancer. What I tell people to do when people say, I want to do keto, and they're like really, really definite, I don't want to shoot them down and say, no, you don't. You know, I say, okay, let's do that. But let's do like a modified keto. Let's start out with a modified keto. Because what I find some people do is they go from a standard American diet that wasn't very healthy to a keto diet, and they'll get very, very sick. That won't work. So let's take baby steps. Let's clean up your diet first. Let's have way more vegetables, way less animal foods. When you are having animal foods, they're ultra pure. And then let's slowly decrease the starches. Let's just slowly increase the fat, and let's see how you do. There are some people that cannot do keto diets, right? There are people that have particular genetic mutations that they can't do that. I think it's the ApoE4, for example. So you could Google who should not do the keto diet. And so it isn't like the keto diet can be for everybody. So first of all, it's hard to do. So I'd say start out with baby steps. And the first baby step to start out with is an intermittent fasting diet, because the other thing that comes up is fasting, like fasting in cancer or caloric restriction, which is another thing that's not very popular. But do an intermittent fast. I talked about it a little bit. Dinner, that you do a fast while you sleep. What a great way to fast. I'm fasting and sleeping. Go you, right? So fasting. So dinner by anywhere between 5 and 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock the absolute latest, get to bed by 10, and then no calories until at least 7 a.m., maybe even 9 a.m. You've done an intermittent fasting, and it acts kind of similarly to the keto diet, similarly to the caloric restriction. But yeah, that's the keto diet is a bigger discussion. I'm happy to send over some notes. I did a talk for the Santa Clara Valley Oncology Nurses Association, which was wonderful because they're the people that get all the questions. And that, of course, comes up all the time. So I put together some slides that address the keto diet. So let me dig up that. It wasn't a whole presentation on keto diet, but I'll send the slides that address some of the information for keto just to give that to you. But that's kind of my feeling is it's not for everybody. It does have efficacy for some people, but like we said, it's we're not so sure. We got to be careful. Yeah, hope that answers your question somewhat.
Well, thank you, Nancy, for answering all the questions. And we do appreciate you sending that additional information. I'll be sure to get it out.
Yeah, send information, those keto slides.
All right, perfect.